Okay, so some months back, I broke and bought fabric. I think I bought some from Joann's and from Mood, and now it's just been sitting in my stash with the rest of my stash for months. And so I was like, okay, let me pull something out. So I know it's like the end of October and we're going into winter and it's floral, but I figure it's on a black background. It's a dark floral, so I mean, it's year round, right? I feel like when I bought this, I don't know, I can't remember if like I realized how cool toned it was, but it was just a good price, so I got it, or what. But I don't know if this is the most flattering color palette on me. Because it's very cool toned, but that's okay. I still think it's pretty, so just put on a little blush or something, you know, make it work. But the last dress I made, the black dolman sleeve one, I've already worn it, and so it's kind of inspired me to think more about what I'm more likely to wear. So that's what I'm going into this project keeping in mind. So let me show my, sketch, such as it is. So I saw this Rodarte bias cut dress. I think it's made of silk. So it's appropriately pricey. But I've seen a lot of dresses kind of like this with like the gathered bust and like bias cut, like slinky bottom 2/3 with like a puff sleeve. So it's not like, the Rodarte one has like a circle, like some kind of like flared skirt attached at like this kind of point, mirroring the point here and the point here of the neckline. So I mean, that's pretty. I've seen that too though, but like I've seen curved versions of it. I've seen like less pointed versions, etc. Anyway, so I don't know. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want to make mine. This is kind of just, I'm also not sure if I have enough fabric to do exactly this. So I guess we'll see. Currently though, I think I do want to try my hand at like this gathered bodice here, which I haven't, the gathered bust, which I haven't done before. So my changes to, so the neckline is not going to be too low, and I also don't want to do a zip because I realized one of the things that stops me from wearing a dress is a zipper. Like it's just not as comfortable. Like I think it's also because the zipper comes usually with a kind of more fitted dress, which I do like a fitted dress. Don't get me wrong, but like getting in and out with the zipper for some reason stopped me from reaching for something. So I'm gonna try my best to like keep this just loose enough that I can just pull it on and then have ties. I'm gonna add ties to this to hopefully cinch in the waist. So that's the plan there. And then we'll see if I don't have the fabric to make like the flared part of this, I'll just go down and have a full bias cut, maybe just have a little floop out, maybe, And then for the sleeves, as 100% sure, I think maybe, I've seen a lot of these have like just like a puff sleeve, whether it's like a shorter puff sleeve or like one down to the elbow. And I've seen a button sleeve. So I was thinking maybe like a mutton sleeve. But the fabric I have is floopy. I think it's a rayon. So it's not going to stand up crisply like it would in like a, I don't know, like a cotton or taffeta or something. So, I don't know. We'll see. Also, again, fabric is a question. I can't remember if I have 4 or 5 yards, but we'll see. And it's not like wide or anything. So I could also do a puff sleeve and then do a small fitted sleeve here maybe not have a leg of mutton, but do a puff and then have a section of fitted sleeve, maybe 3/4 length, maybe full, not sure. So here's the plan so far. I'm gonna start here and see if I can get all of this in. Okay, I've traced my front block pattern and marked in marker. I'm trying out the Crayola washable ones. They are a lot less stinky than Sharpie, so that's good. And then I penciled in the first changes. This is as far as I can get before I have to cut it out and do more changes. So let me walk through these. Okay, I'll start with the neckline. Okay, so I have a 1/2 inch seam allowance on my block pattern, so I just pencil that in so I have an idea where things are. So not counting the seam allowance, I went down 5.5 inches here for the V-neck. So that one's right here. So then I went over 2 inches, not with the seam allowance, and that was here, so 2 inches. And then I just connected those into a V. And then just a right angle up in the seam allowance, and then I added my 1/2 inch of seam allowance to it. So there is the neckline, and then I also wanted it to be really comfy, so I lowered the arm side a 1/2 inch. I put in the seam allowance so I can see where 1/2 inch was here. So that's like, you know, right here. So I just French curved that up. So here, this one I have to add seam allowance. So I just French curved a 1/2 inch down up into that arm side, and then straight out into that seam allowance. So it's this one now. Let me just mark it. Okay, so that's where we're at. Ooh, just the V-neck and arm side lowering. And then, so here's my dart point, not my dart point, here's my bust point. And I extended my dart legs because I'm gonna have to manipulate these in order to change them into gathers. So I'm just connecting the dart legs up into that bust point. So there's that. And then, oh, by the way, I for this section I'm following like what the closet historian did on one of her patterning videos. I hope I remember to link it because her stuff always just comes in clutch, you know. I love her channel. So and this is kind of like a vintage technique, I guess. So anyways, so I went up 2 inches from my waistline here for that midriff section because it comes up into a point towards the V-neck. So I went up 2 inches from my waistline on the side seam and marked that here. And then I went up 4 inches from my waistline and marked that up here. And then just connected those into like this little peak. All right, so I know she moves the dart over, but she also has a zipper. So I want to keep this dart here. So that I can use it as some ease here, you know, because I'm not gonna put in a zipper. So that means I'm gonna have less gathering up here because I'm not using this whole 1.25 inch. This is like an 1.25 inch, and this is I don't know, like maybe 3/4 inch ish. But that's okay. I think a lot of this is gonna be lost in like the pattern of the fabric anyway, and I don't need that much gathers in here. I think we'll find out, I guess. So okay, so that's that. So now I'm gonna cut out what I have so far, and then figure out how to change this into the gathers. Before I have this fully cut out, let me just reiterate what happened here. Just 5.5 inches down for the V-neck and 2 inches over on the shoulder for that V-neck. So for the V-neck, 5 inches down, 5.5 inches down at the front and 2 inches over on the shoulder. And then I dropped my arm side by 1/2 inch. And then I just extended my dart legs to the bust point. And then for this little peaked midriff part, I just went up 2 inches on the side seam for my waistline and 4 inches up from my waistline at the center front. And then just connected that. And that's where I'm cutting. Okay, I'm just going to add seam allowance onto this cut for the top and the bottom now. Alright, seam allowance is on. Okay, so here's the bodice top. And the first thing I have to do is I'm just going to move this dart over into the side. So it's one big dart. So that dart is gone. I know you can still see it, but it's gone. Just pretend it's not there anymore. So this dart still exists on the side here. So now I'm trying to remember what she did in the video. So Alinkix, she did a good job explaining. So I think she said like you need to do like a right angle from this situation directly into the bust point. Right angle from the midriff line here into the bust point. So let me do that. Also, unless it's jagged here, I'll just smooth it out after. So, or should I do it now? I'll just do it now, so that it's not something I'm gonna forget. So, this will be the new one here. Okay, so the dart, the waist dart is closed and moved over to the side dart. And then I right angle from this midriff line. I kind of fudged it a bit because of the angle, but it's fine. I right angled it into the bust point as best as I could. And then I went over that, let me just make this line first. So this is at a right angle to the midriff line and to the bust point. About, you know. So right there. And then I went over 1.25 inches from that line onto this midriff line about. I'm definitely fudging things a bit here because it's not as perfect as hers was. But this is over 1.25 inch on one side of that line and the other. So these are both over 1.25 inch here and also here. And then I'm supposed to go up 3 inches, but I hit the dart on this side, so I went over just about 2 3/4 up. Just a little bit less than that, just so that I can hit it without hitting the dart there. So I did the same thing here too. Just cut it down by a smidge over, you know, 1/4 inch. So about 2 3/4 inches for me. Hopefully that doesn't make too much of a difference. We'll find out. But I am going to link hers below because she explained it really well. So that's like here, like that. Okay. So I'm going to take this into the seam allowance too. So now I should be able to close this dart and open that fullness into these little strange like gather situation here. Okay, so I am just going to cut up this perpendicular line here. And then up this little house situation here. So now, okay, so now there's spaces here. Okay, so now there's this little house cutout, split cutout here. So then I can move all of this volume to here. So let me close up the side dart here. Let's go here, like here. Okay. So you take that down. All right. So that dart is closed now. So let me just mark that out so it's clear. No dart there. And just gonna cut this away. This is a little bit jagged here, so we'll see how this pattern turns out. So because there was a jagged edge here, I just smoothed it out here, and this distance here I extended a bit because this is like 2/16 or 1/8 of an inch longer than this was going to be, so I extended that much here, that 1/8 inch, and just smoothed it into there. So this extra here is gonna be fine because it's gonna be gathered. I think that's gonna be okay. And then and then this should match the side seam. So hopefully that works out. We'll find out. This is definitely a situation in which a mock-up would be a good idea. And as usual, I'm not gonna do it. No one can make me. I'm hoping the pattern of the fabric hides a bunch of these sins. Okay. There we go. And then now I need to just tape this down to be like gathered. So then this space here is going to be gathered, which is not that much, but I think it's going to be okay. That's what I've been saying this whole time, but I think it's going to be okay. I'm just gonna tape this down like roughly evenly. Okay, so this is taped down now, and she was doing this to make tucks, but I want to do gathers. I don't know if that's gonna matter or not, but I'll just do what she did, which was, you know, just try to smooth this out, I guess. Let me take this out. Just try that. And then through here. And there. Please take it. And then left leg. So this section here is not the most even, so I'm just gonna add a little more here just to smooth it out. Okay, so let's take this point here and I'll just there it is. Oh, that's not what I need. Okay, so I'm just gonna smooth that out with this. Should I do that? I just do like this. And then we got here like that, just so you can see it. Right, so this is like a struggle bus top, but as I'm staring at it, I'm thinking like, I don't think I need all these jagged edges because I'm not tucking it. I think it's fine because it's gathered. I'm gonna just do this. No, just do that. I think that should work fine. So I think that's what I'm gonna do, because I don't want too much extra bagginess here either. So I'm just gonna cut it into a smooth line there. I think that should be fine. So take that out. All right, there we go. Okay, because I am pulling it on without a zipper, because I'm pulling it on without a zipper, I decided to add a 1/4 inch of ease to the side here, just to help me pull it on. So, that should be fine because it's also unbiased, hopefully. Okay, so I think that's that. Let me cut this out. Okay, got through it. Okay, so I also labeled it bias gathered bust dress. So I remember it center front. This is gonna be cut on the fold, I think. So hold on. Something like that. Okay, so let's see if I can sum this up. This is a difficult one. Okay, so for these steps, I drew a perpendicular line from this under bust seam up into the bust, and then went out 1 1/4 inch on each side of that line, and then went up roughly 2 3/4 inches at that point on each side, and then just made a line into the bust point from there on each side to make a little peaked house, and then cut into those 3 lines so that I could close up the side dart here. Oh, before I did that, I also moved the dart that was here into that side dart. So once that was all done, the side dart was closed, I just had to tape this down and smooth the line here because it's going to be gathered. So it just had to be smooth. And then this part is going to be gathered, and then I decided to add a 1/4 inch on the side here just to make it easier to pull on over my head. So a 1/4 inch here means like times 4, so it's going to be an extra inch all the way around. I think that'll be good. So now I'm gonna move on to the front skirt, finally, to get a good shot of this. There we go. Okay, so here's the bottom half of the front, the skirt part. So the first thing I did was add a 1/4 inch along the side seam to match up with how much I added to the top. So let me just do that. But when I got to the waist here, I smoothed it so that it wasn't so nipped in. So I did 1/4 inch everywhere, and then I use it as a guide to just make it not so indented here. Just because I want to be able to pull it on easily. 1/4 inch. Plus 1/4 inch along the sides here. Okay. And then I smoothed this out so it wasn't quite so nipped in. And then I moved on to the bottom part because that's kind of like some kind of flared kind of circular skirt here. So basically what I tried to do was get a similar angle to this midriff portion here, and I played around with the lines, and I think it came up with this one here. So it's up about 2 inches from the bottom of my block. My block is around my hips, like the biggest part of my hips is where this stops. So I'm just gonna go with that length for the side here. So I just went up about 2 inches in the center front there, and then just angled it down to the corner there. Like that. I thought about doing the seam allowance, making it perpendicular here, but I just can't be bothered. I think it'll be fine. That's like the mantra of this patterning session here. It'll be fine. Okay, so because I wanted to add on that flared kind of circular-esque skirt here, I extended this hip line here just straight down, like so, and the center front also. Okay, and then so this is the line to cut. It's angled up. This is the straight line. So I think before I cut it out, okay, yeah. So, and then I also just added some lines here just so that I can cut it out and then flare it into some kind of circular skirt situation, hopefully. These are like, I don't know, I try to make them kind of even. It's like 2.5-ish or something, I think, between each one, but I don't think it matters that much. This one's clearly bigger. It's fine. So I am gonna cut this out and cut this part out separate. I'll do a quick summary here. So I brought out the side seam 1/4 inch and then smoothed out where the waist nipped in, so it's a little bit bigger, not so drastic of a nip in. And then I wanted a point here at the bottom, at the biggest part of the hip, so that it goes up a little higher to mirror this midriff here for the rest of the skirt. So I went up about 2 inches from where my hip is the biggest and angled that down to the side seam. Then I just continued that side seam here and then continued the center front line there. And then I just made some lines here, roughly 2.5 inches apart, I don't know, whatever looks kind of even, so that I can flare this out after I cut it out to make kind of a circle-ish kind of skirt. Okay, now let me cut it out. one. Okay, so I labeled the skirt top here. I cut everything out, and this extra cut here, I added seam allowance to both the top and the bottom. And so the skirt top, I think I can set aside now. And then I need to flare this. So let me do that. Let me actually extend these lines into the seam allowance. Okay, I'm just gonna tape these points here to strengthen them, because I'm gonna have to cut in from the seam allowance down and from the bottom up to flare it. So now I'm just gonna cut to this point from this side and that side. Let me zoom in. So I'm gonna cut to these points here on the seam allowance. Okay, I've been trying every which way to figure out a way to get what I want onto this fabric. I think there's just not enough fabric. So I'm thinking I have to adjust the design for the skirt, unfortunately. So, okay, so let me just retape what I cut and tape it all back together and see what to do. Okay, it's the next day. Yesterday it was a little bit frustrating because I realized partway through the pattern that I didn't think I had enough fabric to do the design I wanted to do. So then I just like pivoted into like a long mermaid skirt instead. And today I feel like I don't want that. I'm like staring at it and trying to want it, but I think I'm gonna have to adjust it again. And probably because like I just decided on something really fast and I was tired. And, but hopefully this won't be like a crazy adjustment. Fingers crossed here. But I think what I'm gonna do is just do like an attached kind of circular thing like I did for the mermaid. So maybe have it like flare out at the hip instead of like a mermaid style, you know? I just think it'll be something I'll reach for more, I think. Okay. Okay, I've reset it back to where I was before. I was like, I don't have enough fabric. So that's reset. So pretend the mermaid thing never happened. So I'm thinking if I cut this part on the bias, I might be able to get out a long enough length. I don't know how, it's sure it's not gonna be like super full or anything, but like I can probably get it out. And then I might have to add seam allowance to the front part, the top of the bodice, and just do that in 2 pieces. We'll see. But first I am gonna just do my initial plan, which is make this kind of circular. So let me cut and flare that again. I'm just gonna use this scrap to tape it down. But just cutting up into that point where the seam allowance meets this area. well, okay, it was hard to film doing the skirt because it's a big piece of paper. But I went 34 inches down. That's the length I wanted. And as you can see, it comes off. So I might have to piece the skirt, or maybe I seam the center front also. I'm not sure yet. But I'm just gonna keep it there for now. But yeah, it was just cut still at that angle for the midriff part here, and then just slash and spread to this amount. It has to become the fold. So yeah, I guess now I'm just gonna move on to the back. Traced it in marker. Okay, I copied my back pattern block and traced it in marker, and then made all my adjustments I can in pencil before I have to cut it out to do the last bit. So let me just walk through that. Okay, so I just matched the 2 inches over from the seam allowance here. So this is 2 inches over to match what it is to the front shoulder seam. And then I put in like the seam allowance here, so this is, well, the seam allowance is 2.5 inches. So put the seam allowance in here too. So I went down, here I went down 3/4 of an inch, right here. Why 3/4? I don't know, it just felt right. I don't know. And then I just squared out, from the back here. And then I just connected this. I think I used a rubber band for this, but not fully. So there we go. And then I just added seam allowance. Okay, so there is the neckline. I didn't want to go too low because the front is V-necked too, you know, so I wanted to have some stability back here. Okay, so then I drew in the 1/2 inch seam allowance down here, and then just used my French curve. Just went down 1/2 inch, just like the front, to match the front, and then just French curve this over. That's the new line. When I have an inch in the back here for a zipper, so I just didn't marker that. There's no inch in the back because this is going to be slipped on. And then I added on that 1/4 inch to the side here to match how much I added to the front. So here's a 1/4 inch to that side seam. Okay. It's 1/4 inch added all the way down. And then I brought in the front piece and matched up. This is where tracing paper is helpful. I matched up the waistline here, and then I matched up this block line with the block line in the back because I know those matched. And then I just traced here. So I got like the change here for the waistline that I did for the front, and then I just marked it all the way. I did also notice that you know, when I angled it over to get everything matched up, that there was more length here for the front, so I just copied that and then marked it here like that, and then just marked it here as well so that I could just use that line to do the same little like corner in the front. And then if I matched, I had a moment where I thought it didn't match, but okay, so I've lined up the seam allowance here and matched that up so that side seam matches now. The side seam matches, and then I just went ahead and traced this marking here for the bottom of the front. So it's not going to be, because the front, this line is longer, it's not going to be as peaked as the front, which I'm okay with, because that means the back, center back, will be a touch longer in the skirt. From what I could tell, at least for the Rodarte one, like the hem is uneven because they kept it all the same length, and the peak and made it, adding the peak and made it a little uneven, and like it's kind of like a fun and interesting. It looks nice, and then because I traced it, the seam allowance is already in here, so I don't have to add seam allowance, at least to the top. So I'm just going to draw that in so that I don't forget that it's already there. Okay, so that's good. And then I just extended the lines here for the skirt. So center back line straight. The side seam, I just follow the lines, it's a little angled there. And then, yes. Okay, and then I did add in some slash lines here, so I'm gonna have to do that, but I'll marker those in after I cut this out. All right, to sum up, I went over 2 inches for the neckline up here to match the front, and then I decided to go down 3/4 of the center back here for the neckline, and then I squared it, and then squared it up here, and then just made a little circular back neckline. And then I went down 1/2 inch at the arm side to match sort of the front, and then I added 1/4 inch all along the side seam, just like I did for the front. So then I used the front pattern to just match up here to make sure I had the same little piece extra here at the waistline, and matched it up all the way down. And then I just used that length because it was a little longer, maybe it's a bodice block issue. So I matched that there and marked it, and then marked the line up here too. And then I just used that to do the angle in the back. And then I'm not gonna sew that dart in the center because I have to slip this on and I want the extra ease. And for the skirt at the bottom, I just extended the lines here. So I just went straight down for center back and then angled out of it for the side seam here, just to follow that line. And I put in some slash lines, but those aren't visible yet because I didn't marker them. So now I'm going to cut it out so that I can slash and spread the skirt down here. Okay, so it's cut out into the two pieces. And then I'm just gonna put in the slash lines here. Actually, no, I have to put in this is what I did. Let me add my seam allowance. Okay, right there. Okay, so I'm gonna go with seam allowance. Okay, here's a skirt piece. I added on the 1/2 inch at the top where I cut it, and then put in some slash lines that are not fully even, but it's fine. So now I'm gonna get some paper so I can slash and spread this the same way to the front skirt. I cut to the seam allowance from both sides to that point. To these points where I taped it to make it more sturdy. Okay, so I slashed and spread it, taped it down, and try to keep it, I don't know, the spread a little similar to the front. It's a little less than an inch in between. Now I'm gonna measure down from under the seam allowance to 34 inches, just like I did for the front. Here's the back. So I slashed and spread the skirt and then went down 34 inches, just like the front. And then there's the top. So because I didn't have to do, you know, the gathered bodice and midriff part, it's just it's simpler, you know. Let me actually put this out so you can see it. All right, hopefully it's visible. So here's the front, the top gathered portion, midriff skirt. Here's the back, just the full back to the skirt. Oh, full back to the skirt. Will all of this fit on here? We'll find out. But before we find that out, I need to figure out the sleeve and go from there. Okay, so I've just traced my sleeve pattern. It's just a short sleeve. Okay, so here's the back and the front and the center line. And that's where normally I have little gathers in there because it doesn't fit perfectly without them. All right, so I decided I want to do leg and button sleeves, but I just do not have the fabric for that. So I'm gonna see if I can squeeze out a 3/4 length sleeve. And add some puff at the top. So let's see if I can get that out of what I have. So, I also just wanted to be comfortable and able to move my elbow around well, etc. So there's a 1/2 inch seam allowance in this already. So not accounting for that 1/2 inch, I went down 18 inches. That's about a 3/4 length for me. And then I just did a square line with that center line to get that length. And then I just added this is 18 inches long. The full length here, and then I added 1 inch here for seam allowance. I mean, not seam allowance, sorry, 1 inch for the hem of the sleeve. So that's plus 1 inch down here, and the sides. Okay, and then I wanted to be really comfortable, so I ended up adding a 1/2 inch to each of the sides here, because I just don't want any elbow bending problems. And then if I decide I want it to be tighter, like along like the forearm or something, then I'll just do that when I get there after trying it on, you know. So this will give me a full extra inch all around. Okay, and then just squaring down for that hem, so that could be turned up a couple times, or turned once. Alright, so there's that, and then I'm just gonna do a line here, 1/2 inch down from the sides here, so that I can use that to add puff up here. So let me just cut this out so that I can do that. Okay, so then I'm just gonna cut down the center line to this horizontal line so that I can just increase that puff. Okay, I'm thinking like maybe something like this. Tape that down. This is about 4 inches. So I'm also going to extend this line here so that I know where center is. And then, okay, I just sketched in a line here like that. And then I'm also gonna just put in, you know, that's still where the gathering is gonna be. So I think that's gonna add some good puff here, and that's it. So I'm just gonna cut it out and then see where we're at there. Right here, this right now. Right, so here's my sleeve pattern for now at least. We'll see if it fits. So I just made 3/4 length, so I went down 18 inches and did a 1 inch additional hem allowance, squared down, and I added a 1/2 inch to each side just for my sleeve block to make sure I have space to bend my elbow nicely. And then I slashed down the center and to the sides so that I could then open up the sleeve cap here and add about an extra 4 inches of puff at the top together. I think that's it. Really, just make bias, covered, bust. Okay, so I'm just doing my facing. So I traced the front, and I thought there was enough space down here last time they were V-neck, so I just went over 2 3/4 inches and just went straight down. Usually I do 2.5, but I don't think this is gonna matter. Just make sure this is matched up, and let me just cut it up. Same for the back. I just traced the neck and shoulder, and then needed to match the front, so I just marked it here, and then, you know, middle of sweep. So let me cut that out now. Okay, here's the back facing and the front facing. Okay, I just added a 1/2 inch of seam allowance to the center front because I just don't think I'm gonna be able to cut this on the fold maybe, so yeah. But so a center front seam I think would be okay. If I end up with this piece that I can do in the fold, then I will. Okay. Alright, I think that's all the pattern pieces. I have it all laid out, but a rough layout here. We'll see. So I've just folded on the bias on both sides of the fabric, and then here is the front skirt, the front midriff area, and the front gathered part, the top bodice part, and then here's the sleeve that hopefully I can get 2 out here in the center, and then here's the other bias part. Here's the back, the skirt, and I just put the facings in there, but maybe I'll have somewhere scrap I can do it in fold. If not, I'll have to do that with a center seam also. And clearly the skirt comes off on both, so we'll see. It looks like this might be enough to piece onto there. I don't think that's going to be enough to piece this, so maybe I piece from here and just not be on the bias, or maybe I could do the bias from there, not sure. But yeah, I'm really cutting it close here with how much fabric I have. So, yeah, wish me luck with the cutting part here. I already hate cutting, and I'm gonna have to do some piecing also. Alright. It's been about 3.5 hours, I think, maybe a little longer, of patterning, and I am done. So, both literally with the pattern pieces and mentally. So I'm gonna stop here and pick up with the cutting and figuring out how to piece tomorrow. If I just had like maybe like another yard or yard and a half, that would be great. But I don't think they sell this fabric anymore. So this is what I have. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Okay, so it's been a couple of days. I've been back and forth on should I make something else? Like I haven't tried a bias cut tied to see if it'll work okay with this much ease, etc. And it's kind of, it's not the simplest pattern, you know. I think I took a moment to look at it again. Okay, so I think I'm just gonna go for it because I'm tired of thinking about it, honestly. So I'm just gonna do what I did before and rough cut it so that I can cut it more nicely on the table. Ugh, gosh. This is gonna be a pain. Oh, it'll be fine, it'll be fine. I'll just do it, and if it doesn't turn out well, that's okay. You know, sometimes you just gotta try. Okay, so I went through and like tried to make sure there's no wrinkles, but we'll see, you'll find out. And then just clipped the edges to hold it in place. And I'm just gonna rough cut out the things that are on the fold there, and then I'll move on to like the top that's gonna be not on the fold, and the sleeves and the facings. If I can get the facings out the fold, cool. But before I do that, I'm gonna try my best to cut everything else out and then hopefully piece together like these parts here. So let's see. Okay, so I cut out the bodice pieces, and then I think before I cut out the facings and the sleeves, I am going to work on the skirt. So I cut the skirt out, both of them, but I don't want to do any trimming until I add on a scrap to like these empty spots here, and then trim it all at one time. That way I don't have to like shape it, get the shape, and this fabric's really floopy, so I feel like it'd be better for me to have just extra fabric here than cut it off. Okay, this is the first one I'm attaching. So this was like the corner that got cut off, so I'm attaching it to the corner of the skirt, and it's not shaped or anything, so I'm hoping I'm putting it on right. So I'm gonna sew this on and then do the other side also, and then trim it. And then I have to cut some pieces out for the other skirt because there's more of a gap that needs to be filled in. But I'm gonna go sew this on first. Okay, this puddle here and this puddle here are the two skirts. I managed to sew scraps onto them and serge those edges. I haven't ironed it yet or trimmed it yet to the right shape. But before I do that, I think I am going to move on to the sleeves and the facings. And then I'll trim the skirts and see how far I can get. I'm trying to get this done right now, but we'll see. it's the morning of November 6th. And I don't know how you guys are doing out there, but I need a distraction. So just gonna keep doing stuff. So yesterday I had to stop because I didn't have enough time to finish cutting everything out. But I cut out everything except I didn't finish the skirts because I added on the pieces that were missing. And I didn't trim everything yet for the skirts, so I'm gonna do that. And then I did serge when I added them on, that was fine, but I will double check that I can serge a single layer of this fabric. And if I can, I am going to serge all the pieces and then see where we're at there, because the red tide has also begun today. So it's just anyway, so we'll see how much I get done. If I get through the serging and it's like pretty fast, then maybe I'll do more. We'll see. I forgot to film it, so this is gonna be a fake cut. Ooh. Satisfying. Okay, so here's the front skirt, and then here's the back skirt trimmed. It's not perfect. None of the pieces are perfect because this fabric just like it's already floopy and then it's cut in the bias, so it's like a nightmare to keep. Like I can put it on twice and it'll be different each time, you know, the pattern piece. So that's fine. The additions, the piecing that I did, it's also not perfect. I just did the best I could with what I had. I couldn't really like match. I don't have enough fabric to pattern match, and also like I just didn't even bother trying to match the grain. I was like, you know, these are the pieces I have that don't have to work. So we'll see how that goes. So I think now I'm gonna go serge all the pieces. Oh, my face is not happy with the heat. Okay, so I serged everything, and I think that's all I'm gonna do today. So I trimmed the skirt pieces, and I don't think I did a great job because there are some jagged parts that I found while I was serging, but I'll deal with that after I put the dress together. So yeah, I think that's it for today. Tomorrow I'll start construction and hopefully it'll be a better day. Yeah, time to go do something else. Oh my gosh. Oh, banning a shark was hitting my butt, so let me go. It's the next day. I'm feeling a little calmer. Yeah, okay, so today I'm gonna start assembling things. So I think the best way is going to be to do the front and the back separately before joining up the shoulder seams and the side seams. Oh, that reminds me, and I don't have ties. Do I even have enough fabric for ties? Oh, okay. I have to look for the ties and then I have to start and figure out ties and then start assembly. Starting with probably the bodice front. Okay. Okay, so I have this straighter grain section here. Well, it's not on the bias. I don't remember which way is grain or cross or anyway. So I have this section that's not on the bias and it's 2 layers. And even if I want just an inch wide like 2 straps an inch wide. I need 3 inches. So I'll get the length and the width that I can out of this, basically. So I'm just gonna like cut a piece out and then trim it down to size on the table. All right, this is what I have. This is what I have. So I'm just gonna just cut it on the ends and the side as straight as I can and see what I end up with. Okay, I've ended up with 2 pieces, roughly 25-ish by 6 inches. So that means folded in half and then seam allowance, that would be a still end up about like 2 inches because folded is 3 minus 1 inch. Yeah, I'll end up being like 2 inches wide, which is, you know, fine. And hopefully 25 inches is good for each side. We'll see. Okay, so now I think I'm gonna start on the bodice. Okay, I laid out the front pieces. So first thing is going to be marking where to gather this, then gathering it, then sewing that onto this midriff, and then sewing the midriff onto the skirt piece. And then after that, I'll move on to the back. And then throw in a gathering stitch with the high tension and long stitch length in the sewing machine to just have it self gather. While I'm here, I'm just going to sew the 2 center fronts together. I probably should have done that before the gathering. Okay, so here's the best part of the front. I ended up just sewing the front seam too, and realizing I should have probably done this and then the gathers, but that's fine. So I sewed the front seam and ironed that and put the gathers in. And now I am gonna sew this onto the midriff part. Then I'm thinking I might actually sew the ties, attach them, and then do the shoulder points. So that I don't have the skirt in the way while I'm doing the facing, and then go to the skirt. So I think that's the order of faces in my head. So, but first off, I have to sew this to the midriff. Just reminding myself, peak at the top and peak at the bottom. So it's arrowing up. Should mark that up initially. Alright, very little gathering, which I expected because I was looking like a dart and a partial. That'll be fine. The pattern covers a lot too, so I don't know how much would show anyway. The top two pieces are attached and the bust is gathered, and I ironed the seam. And I think next I'm gonna sew up the ties so that I can attach them to the waist of, I mean, the front or the back, it doesn't matter, just so that it's easier to like have it sandwiched in there to do the side seams later, and then I'll do the shoulders, I think. Okay, I also just like folded this up and ironed that down like that, and then just marked it with my heat erasable pen too, just so that I don't have like a flat end to the ties when I tie them, something will look better with an angle. And then I did the same thing on the opposite side because my brain isn't working right now. I'm like, is it gonna matter? Do I have to have it mirrored? I don't know. So I just did it on the opposite end. I don't think it matters. And did the same thing so that I can have it, the end be like that, you know? This be nicer, I think. So before I sew, I think I'm gonna like serge the flat end, and then that ends of the serger will be caught in the seam, hopefully. Okay, so I don't know how this happened, but somehow I lost a bunch of footage. And as Hannah Louise posted would say, it was like the meat of the construction, really. So that's unfortunate. So bear with me while I try to walk you through what I did there. So these skinny rectangles on the right are supposed to be the ties, though I forgot to put in that, one side is pointed on them to make them lighter. But after I sewed them, I turned them inside out and ironed them flat. And then I attached them to the waist of the front. I forgot to put the V-neck on the front here, but this is the front. And I sewed it into like less than a half an inch, so it'd be in the seam allowance. Facing in, so these are just overlapped. Just so that it would be easier to sandwich them later and they wouldn't move around. And then after they were sewed onto the front, I sewed the shoulder seams of the front and the back. And after I did that, I attached the facing. So I sewed the shoulder seams of the facing and I marked it with the heat erasable pen where the neckline was at the half-inch seam allowance, just so it'd be easier for me to sew on and see where I needed to go. Then after the facing was on, I sewed the side seams together. So I sandwiched the ties that were already sewn on between the front and the back, and then I sewed the side seams down a few inches past the waist because I didn't want to go all the way down. I still wanted the bottom of the front and the back to be free so that I could sew the front skirt and the back skirt on separately and then finish the side seams later, just because I thought it would be cleaner and easier to do it that way. So I think this picks back up where I am just sewing the side seams just past the waist. Okay, and then for the sleeves, I put in the gathering stitch while it was flat, and then I made up the sleeve. And then this is going to pick up again where I am ironing up the hem to sew. I just wanted to do everything I could for the sleeves before actually attaching them to the bodice. because it just seemed like it would be easier than trying to maneuver all that fabric. So I think that's everything that was missing. So yeah, sorry about that. Okay, so the side seams are done, and I ironed them too, and then I ironed and hemmed the sleeve. So I think I'm good now to set the sleeve. Ooh, I just realized I need to figure out back and front here. I didn't mark it. Alright, hold. Alright, figured it out. I didn't notch them, but then I searched it, so this is the back. Okay, I turned it the bodice inside out, and then I turned the sleeve I turn the sleeve right side out. And this is better, I think, because now I can like pull all of like my serging threads and everything to the right, to the correct side that is the wrong side. Well, that's a mouthful. All right, let me just get this in here. Okay, so it's starting to look like a dress. So here's the top now. So the sleeves are on, and everything at the top is mostly done. I mean, I might have to make some tweaks at the end, but I don't want to change anything until the skirt is on and I can see the full shebang. So shebang. Okay, so it's been a couple of hours. That took me about 2 hours, so now I'm wondering if I want to move on to the skirt. Do I have more work in me right now? Alright, I'm gonna try to add on the skirt. Maybe I get partially through, you know? Let's see how far I can get. Let's start with the front. None of my pointy parts are that pointy. I'm okay with it. Okay, that didn't take too long, so I'm gonna do the back too. And maybe I can do the side seams. We'll see. um, all right. It wasn't too bad, probably because my pointy parts aren't pointy. And I think it's partly how I cut it, probably, but I think it's also just this fabric is so floopy that it just doesn't want to hold a point and probably stretch too because of the bias. You know, there's a lot of stuff happening. So I just went with it. I'm like, it's fine. I don't want to like mess with it right now. So I'm just gonna go with it and move on to the back. I mean, things are off here from where I sewed on the bottom of the skirt, but I'm just gonna go with it and like try to just sew a little off here. Hopefully this works out fine. All right, so the skirt is on and the sleeves are on and it's, I mean, it's basically done. I have to trim the bottom and hem it. I have to trim it and hem it and do the facing and stuff. I didn't account for the fact that the bias was going to stretch, like it's, and the weight of it is pretty significant. So it's, I think it's stretched lengthwise a lot because it's like on the floor. So I'm gonna have to trim off a significant amount. Maybe like the additions I did to the bottom, the piecing wasn't even fully necessary, or at least not in some spots. I'm not sure. We'll see when I go to trim it. Because I want it to be like easily wearable. I don't want to be puddling on the ground. Also, I feel like I might need to add something to the center front bust area. There's just something, I don't know. I feel like maybe it needs something in the center. So I guess I'll think about that. But for now, I think I'm just gonna like lay it over the ironing board and help it like, or the table, and just like, you know, help it stretch out overnight. And hopefully that'll be enough to, you know, finish it off tomorrow. We'll see. Okay, it's the next day. The dress has been hanging haphazardly. The dress has been hanging overnight. So plus like, you know, half the day. So I think it should be good. I'm hoping I can finish it today, but we'll see. I'm gonna take up a big chunk of the bottom because the bias, I think it's because the bias is stretched quite a bit and it's heavy. The fabric is heavy, so it's really lengthened. So I have to trim that. I'm also wondering if I should take in the sides. I might have to take in the sides, and the bias might have been enough on its own without adding anything to the side seams to be able to slip it on, you know? And I think the center needs something, maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of things that need to be adjusted. Maybe the sleeves too, I'm not sure. So let's see. I just threw it over here so that it had enough space to actually hang, you know? Okay, before I do anything else, I want to cut off weight from the bottom because I think it'll change how everything looks. So I'm gonna I think I'm gonna cut off about 4 inches. So I folded it in half with the side seams together, lining up like the under bust seam to hopefully have it be mostly even. Is it gonna be exactly even? I don't know, probably not, but I think this is gonna come out with a more even result because the piecing is not perfect here clearly. So I'm just gonna like measure as I go, I think, from this top layer. Okay, so I just rechecked it and it is even, but when I put it on, like one side's a little longer than the other, and I wonder if it's just my body. And if it's just my body, do I want to adjust it? Because I'm worried that I'll adjust it wrong, you know? I think I'm just gonna keep it as is and just hem it. So I think I am gonna serge it and then turn it up. Yeah, but before I do that, I am gonna iron the skirt side seams. I haven't done that, I just realized that. So I'm gonna do that and then I'm gonna narrow hem it. Either turn it up once after serging it or twice. We'll see how I feel. We'll see. I could have like maybe like cut a smidge less, you know, so I don't want to lose any more length. Story of my life, you know. Okay, so I finished the hem and I ironed it. I did like one serge and then 2 folds up. And I'm looking at the neckline here now, and I don't know if it's because I had a seam the center of the bust area here, or if it's because a lot of times like this design I've seen has the V go all the way down, like it's a much deeper V. But and maybe there's a reason for that, you know. I think like there's just something off here, so I'm wondering if I can just like put something here. Like I know like some of them have like bows on like the shoulder. I've seen Rodarte do. But here I don't know if I want to do a bow or like, I mean, I still have some fabric left, especially from like what I just cut off from the bottom, so I could use that to just make a rosette, like I did for like green slip dress. Like it's very, like I don't know. I like a tone on tone because it feels a little more subtle. Also don't have like a thick like black ribbon or anything. I have some lacy stuff, but I don't know if that's gonna look the best. So I think I'm gonna try using the hem scrap to make a rosette and see if that looks so fine. And then I have to like also tack down the facing so that I can do both at the same time because they both have to be hand sewed. Hand sewn? Hand sewn? Hand sewed? Meh. don't know. I don't think I like the rosette. It's too like 3D and a lot. I think I'm just gonna go with a bow, but like a black one because I have like this wide lace. I have this wide lace that I'm playing around with, and I think that's better. So I'm just gonna like make a bow and undo this work. Oh well, I mean I tried. Okay, I have this wide, how wide is this? Like 1, 2, 3, about 4 inches wide lace. And I'm just gonna cut like, I just folded it over on itself like 3 times. I think this is about the length I want for the bow part, which is about 7-ish inches, a little more than 7 inches, 7.5 maybe. So I'm gonna like sew this together and then wrap, and then like do a separate piece to wrap it, I think. Hopefully I can melt the edge or something here, I don't know, but I don't want to like do anything heavy on it. So I think for now I'm just gonna like cut it and then just gather stitch it down at the sewing machine. Okay, I'm trying to not sew anything and just trying to tie it into a bow. So I just am like got a separate piece of lace and just like try to cinch it. I folded it in half first. Like it work? What? Will this work? Maybe. Not the worst. Let me see. Okay, so I think I'm gonna do this. I just like tied a length around the middle and it's like a little bit undone, which I don't mind. So I'm just gonna sew it on here, I think, onto just the bottom of the V. And hopefully it looks okay. Back to my regular shenanigans again. Don't do this. Okay, I also like cut the ends at an angle real fast, just because to lighten up the ends, you know. And longevity wise, I'm not sure because I haven't like melted the ends or anything, but I don't want to get rid of like the undone kind of quality of it as is. So maybe if I wash it or something, I'll like undo the tacking stitches to wash it. Without the bow on, I think that'll be fine. So yeah, I think that's it. I think it might be done. Okay, I totally forgot to do the outro, so I changed. So it's gonna have to be a flannel outro. So I ended up really liking the dress. Like, I'm really happy with it. It's super comfortable and flowy, and body skimming, which I really appreciate. You know, it's not like tight anywhere, and I like the looseness of the sleeves so I can bend almost to my heart's content, and it's fine. And I guess, like, I don't know how even, because the hem is supposed to be kind of like, you know, like higher at the front and back and lower at like the side corners. So I made it as even as I could, and I think it's fine. It is a different hemline I haven't worn before, and I'm wondering if like the heels look weird in the back because they're like fully exposed, but I don't know. I also didn't have shoes to match this, so I had to just wear my clear ones and be like, it's fine, you know? I didn't have like black heels because my other shoes, like, I feel like it kind of needs a heel to look, you know, I mean, it doesn't need a heel, but it looks best with the heel. And let's see. Oh, and like, there was an issue with like the bodice front. It just felt like empty, and I wonder if it's because I had to do a center front seam there because I was so short in fabric, or because it's a pattern maybe, and the pattern didn't match, or something, or maybe it would have been nicer if like I moved the dart fullness instead of to the bottom of the bust, but to the center of the bust. I don't know. I'm not sure. But like, I like the bow, so I think it's fine. I think I'm gonna have to like, because I didn't want to burn the edges because I know it looks weird. I know what I was gonna do. I'll probably just take off the bow to wash it, or maybe if I did it wash it inside out, it'd be okay. Not sure, but it might unravel, so maybe I'll take it off and then sew it back on after. Yeah, I think it's good, and I am thinking like this is gonna get worn a good amount because like the no zip is the key for me. I think when there's no zip, I'm like, I'll throw it on, let's go, you know? Again, I don't know, there's no zip, it's not super form fitting, it has a sleeve, I can wear it over my regular bra, so as a long hem, all these things mean that it's probably gonna get a good amount of wear for me. So I'm really excited about that. What else? The fabric is cool toned, which I don't know if that looks like, is it the best on me, but like it looks fine. And I couldn't find my red lipstick anywhere, so I had to just go pink. That was fine. And my hair is as usual, whatever. But by the time I get to the hair, I just want to finish, you know? Like the hem. So yeah, I think I would definitely recommend. I think it was, I'm not gonna call this like, it was annoying to cut because there was, yeah, it was annoying to cut, and then when I sewed it on the bottom of the skirt, it wasn't exactly matched up because the fabric was so floopy, so I did have to like increase the seam at the bottom there, but it's fine. I think it turned out okay. And I like the tie, and I like the v-neck. Yeah, I think success, and I'm really happy with it. Yeah, so I hope you enjoy this one, and thank you for watching.